Hey there, Miles, Jürgen, Homer. Just getting this one taken apart. So 1426. So we don't get the 1466s too often anymore. There was a bit of a last gasp about 12 months ago. And then since then it's kind of gone quiet on these ones. Let's see if I can confirm the diagnosis supposedly of no CPU activity. I can already see there's corrosion like hell on this side. It's almost like a copy of the previous one that we had. Let's see what happens. Green light, SO state. It's alive. Right, fixed. Alright. So basically, this has been fixed through postal percussion. It's a very common technique for repairing many computers. It's a fairly delicate process, but basically when you apply postal percussion technique, it can have this short-term life reviving effect. And of course it doesn't last for long. You really do have to find the true nature of the fault, unfortunately. Can't send it back like this. That battery connector wasn't sitting in quite so well. Feels like it's worn itself out. Hey there, Jason. Yeah, the I/O boards are most definitely very expensive. Hey, Warren, civil up. Noel, Keith, Blazing, Jean-Paul, and John Hugh. Gee, we got a few Johns. Paul Howe, welcome back. Hey, Toby. Joho. Oh, I'm starting to run out. Wasting time saying hello. Assume you are all helloed. If you feel like you have not been sufficiently helloed, then just go say hello in the bathroom or something where it will echo, and you can say hello to yourself. It's frustrating though when these things fix themselves. On the upside, it does mean that, hey, you know, there's a good chance it is fixable. It doesn't actually mean it's not a guarantee. There can be times where something just happens to work enough, but as soon as you start moving anything around, it dies permanently. Paul, sorry to hear about that pain situation. How long before you can start the process with regards to the recent diagnosis? I leave the brick test to the owner when they get it back. Oh, there's a fly of some sort in here. Yep. Oops, someone's messaging me. Ah, goody. More money in my account. I like that. Account messages saying I have been given money are always very welcome. They're not from the people watching this channel. It's just normal invoices being processed. Okay, there's a... Yeah, this one's an ugly one. Basically, we have corrosion along the entire width of this board along the back. It's not a pretty situation. Oh well. Paul, you'll see a consultant next Friday and you'll know more then. Oh gee, I hate the waiting part. Yeah, the anxiety goes into overdrive. Tony W, very similar, yes. And Homer Simpson's breaking ribs. Blimey heck. You guys have got to take better care of yourselves. Not that I'm one to talk. Yeah, look at this. It's just... It's like salt water or something got in here. Oh. Yeah. It's pretty damn good proof that MacBooks can sustain a lot of damage and still keep on going. That's at least half a dozen unique points of absolute failure and it's still going. Yeah, your clock section's damaged, BIOS section IO lines are in trouble. This here, this I forget always what this is, but that's critical and that's in trouble. This whole area here, and then the PCH 108, 105 reg switch, yeah, it's a freaking disaster. And it's still going. It booted. Ah, look more down here. Yeah. Piper Cessna, that is really annoying that you waited that long only to have something that didn't work. Wow, even that one there. And there. That's sus. I think that's PB something sus. I forget which one it is. And 342's been hit. And SMC has been hit. SMC on off been hit. Yep. Oh, and look, backlight's been hit. Really? That's as good a proof you ever need that. It's really more about where things get hit as opposed to what machine it is. Yeah, it's more than just a coastal hit. It's like, yeah, it took an absolute dip into the ocean. Swished around and everything. I'm definitely going to need my 80/20 on this one. Joho, there's not really a lot of point putting coatings on it, conformal coatings, because there's always going to be some... It's going to fail one way or another, we'll find it. By the way, if I sound a little funny today, it's because when I was eating dinner I bit my tongue, something impressive. And so now I can feel I've got a fat tongue. And it's a little bit difficult to talk with the fat tongue. So we're going to start, we're just basically, yeah, this is janitorial situation here. It's a whole lot of it. Probably not even worth me doing it, but we do it for the entertainment. You're quite right, Jason, yes. I hate the fact that once you bite something like your lip or your tongue or your cheek, you will continue to do so for a little while until the inflammation can drop far away enough away from the chance of being bitten again. Now, Piper, the solar panels are going well. I had a 32 kilowatt hour day the other day. It was fairly overcast today, so we only got about 24 kilowatt hour, but it's pretty good going, really. I will fix this, yes. Being a 165, it's worth putting a little bit of effort into it. That's the wrong tip to use for the job. At least with these, I can pretty much just go along and, you know, do direct part swaps. that 1041 that we did last night, that's all up and running nicely now. Went through the ultrasonic, everything good. Normally I prefer not to ultrasonic boards that have a data failure risk, but this particular, where I was going back to, they don't really do data recovery. So it was a case of, well, although they won't give me the information I need to get the data off. It was a calculated risk, unfortunately, based on the style of the damage and everything. I would have been surprised if it hadn't have come through ultrasonic okay. Jason, no, I haven't bought that 14-inch board. It's I need to, but it's a little rich, but I need to. It's a bit painful. I'll probably do that tonight. There were a few others that I found as well. And I also need to get some 2016 boards. That is 820 2016, not 2016 year. Because there's an inductor and a controller on those 2016 boards that I need, and I can't get them anywhere else. But again, they're $150, $200 by the time they're delivered to me. That's a hell of a lot of expense for a job that probably will not be fixable. It can be hard to justify it sometimes. Morning, B-Dog. Take a seat, get your coffee, and whatever else you gotta do. We just got janitorial work here, nothing much else. As Sabatino, surprised a lot of you are up and about at the moment. As I can imagine in the UK, everybody's just dying from the heat. It even made the news here in Australia on several places. Jason, that's 820-2016. That's for the M1 Mac Air, as opposed to the 820-2020, which is for the non-Air edition. As I was saying last night, we routinely get 40 plus up here, but it's not that we're used to it, but it is that we already have air conditioners, and we've gone through the process enough times to know what to do. Doesn't make it any more pleasant, I can assure you of that. I think in England or UK or whatever, I think the big problem is the heat island effect that the nature of the build of your cities are going to give. Because you guys are mostly block, grey block, and stuff that does a very good job of absorbing heat. And then even when the air temperature drops down for the evening, those blocks are just going to radiate that heat straight on back. So you'll not get any reprieve for at least a couple of days. Nelly Bay can get very warm. At least thank goodness you've got the ocean nearby. It is a reason why I would like to go to Townsville, because yeah, the humidity creeps up, but you do have the ocean. So at 2 o'clock in the morning you can go down there and get some kind of relief. Not a lot, but some. The humidity is the big problem. You know, most people can do 40 no problem if the humidity is very low. But as soon as you start creeping above that 50% humidity, it becomes quite painful. Silicon carbide, okay. Yeah, the silicon carbide transistor things. For the longest time out here, it was always very dry in the heat. But, yeah, and everybody used to have swamp coolers. But in the last sort of 20 odd years, that's no longer really holding true. And we've all had to transition to having air conditioners rather than swamp coolers. Because swamp coolers are vastly more efficient than using air conditioning. But they're not much use when the air is already saturated. That's right, Jason. You take a shower, you get out of the shower, and you're just as wet and still uncomfortable. Not last year, but the year before last, we had a day here where the dew point was around about 26 Celsius. That's just bonkers crazy. It's very unpleasant weather. Basically what it means when they say a dew point of say 26, it means when it gets to 26 Celsius, drop down, you will get dew forming on surfaces. That's just an indication of how saturated the air is. The more saturated, the higher the dew point, basically. Hey Rilla, welcome. Yes, that's quite right, Sivlop. That's certainly part of the preparation aspect. So I think now that people in the UK are probably going to start investing pretty heavily on reverse cycle air conditioners, if they haven't already. Reverse cycle is a very handy quirk, a very handy thing to have. It saves a lot of money in terms of heating, not so much on the cooling. Piper Cessna made a very uncomfortable pun. Keith, that's just crazy that there's fires everywhere. I mean, it's starting to sound like Australia. Hey, Kotas, Travis. And all the tiles have now been put down in the kitchen area. And I don't know if they'll be back tomorrow. I have a feeling they may actually decide to let the tile adhesive set for an extra day. And then they'll come back and do the grouting. Canastasis, yeah, they're good machines. Probably on battery 2 on a couple of my own. I like them for when I kick back at night, watch some Netflix in bed or something like that. They're nice machines because they're light. They've got pretty good battery consumption rate. I can go several nights of watching Netflix without having to recharge. I think mine's actually a 3437 as opposed to a 165. This obviously is a 165. I'm just going to hit this cap with a little bit of flux. As long as there's some fizzing action going on, which you can see, then the flux is doing its job. I don't need to make it any hotter. And that will just get scrubbed out with the ultrasonic. Ooh, yeah, that's warm. This side, on the other hand, is a genuine cluster job. Yeah, so this is a 1.88. So they are good machines. Just going to take this sticker off. In part because I'd like to retain its integrity, in part because I don't want a molten mess on the board. Yeah, it's a 2017. I'm not sure I think almost all the 2017s were at least 8 gigabyte, 1.8 gigahertz. So again, we're just slowly working our way through this one. We can melt this one. It's only a 1.34 gig. Trying to work out what I what I do and do not need to replace here. Well, we know the machine does work, it does boot, but unfortunately we also want it to last out of warranty period at the very least when I send it back. I have no idea what it was that they spilt on this. Maybe it was a margarita. Come on, reveal your copper. That's better. Kind of hoping that the tile people don't turn up at least until past midday tomorrow. I so desperately could do with some sleep. The last week and a half I think I've been living on 4 hours a night and it's simply not good. The problem is that we'll be going to bed at our normal sort of times but having to get up considerably earlier. And that's not a good mix. It's quite unhealthy. It will take that chip and these two resistors. Hey there, Pedro. You're a little slack. What have you been doing all day? I mean, you're a tired man, for goodness sake. Piper Sinesto, yes, you are correct. Actually, they came from Italy. But yes, they actually arrived in January, February. I can't remember exactly when. But they've been here a while. But the problem is that getting someone who was sufficiently or appropriately qualified to lay them without wrecking them or needing it to be redone, that was the trick. So fortunately we did have someone in mind. They did the original ones, that is in the first batch that we had, but they just simply haven't been available. The only downside is when you've got an excellent builder, then they're very popular and it's difficult to get a hold of them. And they can command some serious dollars for their work. So, yeah, we had to wait until just now, so what is that, 6 months to get hold of this person. But we're very happy for the fact that we waited. It was definitely the right choice. When we look at the quality of the job done and the workmanship, the work ethic, all that sort of stuff, it's worth the extra cost up front. Yeah, I think the shipping took about 3 months to get here, and I gotta admit I was pleasantly surprised, because I was anticipating with the whole COVID scenario that, it was going to be 6 months to a year, and okay, I'm being an idiot here, I just need to take one. I've got this habit of wanting to take more than one part at a time. Fortunately, that did not rotate. It tried to, but it did not. I've been taking photos of the tiles as they've been laid down. Yeah. There's a capacitor missing up here. I'm pretty sure there is. Yeah, work ethic in the way of things like, being considerate of the workplace, the fact that you're in someone's home. It's small things, but they're important things. Because we're basically displaced from our normal. Yeah, there's that cap up there. We've been displaced from our normal sort of work routine. We can't go up to the kitchen or anything like that. Fortunately, because the house is effectively two small houses with an interconnect, we have been able to shut off the other half. But there's still plenty of stuff we need from the other half throughout the day. Professional attitude, yeah, that's probably a better term to use. Well, Jason, I sincerely hope so, because, like I said, it's a few fistfuls of cash, that's for sure. Okay, it won't be cash, it'll be a bank transfer, but... It's a good portion of money that I would otherwise have just put against the mortgage. Fortunately, my mortgage isn't too large, and I am in a fixed interest rate until another year and a half, so basically February 24 is when my fixed interest rate period ends, and I'm sincerely hoping by then I'll have 80, almost all the house ready to be paid off. Like, I've had bad tilers in the past come and do work. And it was so bad that even I thought it was bad, and as soon as they left, I tore up all their work. Before the glue had a chance to set down properly, I just went in and knocked it all up. It was that bad. I was embarrassed by the fact that I had contracted that person. Hey, sweetie. Sorry, what? Oh, for God's sake. Alright, I'm back.
Yeah, he just got out.
Okay. I'll grab him anyway. What are you doing in here, buddy? You realise you're going to cause us to have a massive pee parade now?
Sorry about that.
Where's Loki?
He's in your room.
He's what?
He's lying in your room. He's just lying there.
Don't trust that. Alright. Now I gotta remember where I was. Simba is one of the foster care wildlings, and every now and then he'll climb into our area. Sometimes it's because he's hungry and he's sick of waiting for us. Sometimes he just wants some company. But the trouble is, when he comes in here, he doesn't make it easy for you to get a hold of him. Probably because he knows, you're going to put him back out to his area. But Loki, our other cat, or one of our other cats, grievously disapproves of the presence of, well, anything. And subsequently will pee the place down in defiance of the fact that how dare we let someone come into our area. tell you what, we often do consider putting a diaper on that boy. It's quite frustrating because he's such a delightful, loving, caring, snuggly cat. This is Loki. But he is just obsessed with marking everything, and yeah, anything will set him off. He was perfectly fine, but then when we had both families here and both families of cats and just all sorts of things, he just sort of snapped, and from that point we haven't been able to rein him back in as such. We've tried quite a few different things, and one day we will find the solution, but for now it's just a long battle. Can't have everything perfect. There's always got to be something that you have to, I wouldn't say struggle with, but there's often something that you have to choose, whether you're going to work to try and resolve it or whether you're just going to give up and move on to other things. So for us, we're trying to resolve it. Jason, I would rather a cat doing it than an uncle. Need more flux. Let's try hot air it, see if it will pull itself into alignment and make that fillet nice. Not really the sort of alignment I was after, but we'll have to check the continuity on that rail, because there's a veer that's under it, so I don't know if the veer has maintained continuity. Pardon me, that was a chocolate hiccup. Where's my 1, 2? Ah, there it is. Went back and forth past it a few times. (3v3S5). Okay, so we've got contact down here. About 0.35 on the diode mode. So we'll have a look, see if we have 0.35 up here, and if we do, we know it's connected. That's close enough. When it comes to diode values, really, it's at best it's one digit, one decimal place that you really got to care about. There's really no point getting more pedantic than that. The only time you can perhaps get a little more pedantic, say half a, like about 5%, is if you're measuring I2C lines or matched pair lines and you want to make sure that they are the same. But other than that, comparing the value of what's on, say, open board data versus what's on your board, you really have to take it with a big fat grain of salt. I mean, I'm the one that's collecting and generating and publishing those open board data values, and so I should be able to say, oh yeah, they're really useful. But realistically, it, it's another one of those bits of information that is useful, but you got to know the realistic limits of that information. Seriously, 10:30? Huh. Oh, well, it looks like we've got micro insulin time. I actually didn't realise it was even that late, so I'll be back. Didn't know it was 10:30. I'm gonna go give micro a shot. You going, Bubba? Yeah, I'll give you a shot. So we're about 1/3 of the way probably on fixing this thing. And look at the damage all along here. I actually don't even know if this is really meaningful electrically. It's just a ground sort of out of flood. But I don't know if it's needed by anything in particular. Now the inner trace, on the other hand, is probably needed for something. It's likely still intact, but if we don't clear away that corrosion that is there, it will eventually will most likely get eaten out and die. And unfortunately, ultrasonic is good, but it won't usually always get under those tracks. Yeah, Godfrey, there's a few that can look like a break, but they're just tarnished copper, and when I scratch them back a little more, there's intact layer underneath. It's easier for me to see with, because I've got the better dynamic range here with the microscope, of course. This is way too much work to be putting into a 165. Tony, it's on the back of the circuit board, so it's not the normal sort of area where you have the corrosion from the air vents. This really feels like something bigger spilt in and just laid there for a while. This is more aggressive than the usual sort of coastal atmospheric. I think it's a combination. I think there's coastal atmospheric effects in it, but there's also a fairly large spill has come into play. Alright, that's gotta go, that's gotta go, that's gotta go. We're gonna have to dig around here. There's gonna be possibly a few broken traces, like this one here. That may or may not influence the operation of the machine in a noticeable way, but it all needs to be fixed. Wire brush on a drill. Yeah, that pretty much take out the whole circuit board. I mean, I would love to, but it's not a realistic option. This board's certainly going to upset the ultrasonic cleaner because I'm probably going to end up ladening it with a lot of flux just to try and neutralize a good portion of the corrosion. And the ultrasonic cleaner, well, I mean, it does do its job, but if you put a lot of flux into it, eventually it sort of tends to upset the solution a bit. Well, maybe I shouldn't say upset, rather it just consumes the solution, the effectiveness of the solution. Okay, Jason, you have a good evening. Hopefully you can get some sleep, so that I can at least vicariously get sleep through your sleep. Interesting that these dreaded white labels, they're not thermal print, they're something else. Yeah, quite often they're thermal print that you expect to see on these machines, but no, that one's definitely not thermal print, else it would have changed colour. These two here are fairly critical, so if there is any chance that they're damaged, best get rid of them. DT200 carby. Well, now if that was fresh from the factory it shouldn't be a problem, but if you've been running it through the bushland and you've got it all greased up and oily, yeah, that might be fun. Still, it does depend on what solution you're running in your ultrasonic cleaner. Not that I'm telling you that, I'm just commenting. I've used up a lot of those PCH HS105 switch chips, which means I don't have one here. I've got the cap, so I'll take that while I'm here, but the chip itself I'll have to find on another board. Yeah, this one's got one. Looks like this is one of the boards that I did repair but decided it was too severe a repair, and instead I rendered the board as a donor parts board instead. What the hell? That's a, that was part of a battery pull tab, I think, from an iPhone. No, you don't. Don't you go wonky on me. Good job. Yeah, Miles, there's certainly a bit of a market adjustment that has to happen with the 1466s. I feel like they're basically now, I mean, like I said, they're very, I do love them, but they are getting to the point now where they're quickly falling out of favor for things like, you know, the USB-C model MacBooks. Or the new M1s. I need to go and get myself a couple of M1s. I've got to get one for Elita. Her 1502 is starting to misbehave in strange ways, and honestly, it's just easier for me to get an M1 and switch her over to it. You are reluctant. Pedro, you would know about that. You're such a scammer. Pedro is the one that drives the prices down. Except when he's selling. He drives the buy price down and the sell price high. Relative to himself. The hell? That's a little bit strange. The resistor is very disinclined to take my solder. I noticed it with the micro pencil and I thought, you know what, it's just having a bad day, but it is legitimately disinclined to take solder. Wow, I may have to deal with this with prejudice. Oh, yeah, that's why. The pad underneath, it's all oxidized. That's why I wouldn't. It's just got that crumbly texture. So that's why I wasn't taking solder. See if it goes now. A little bit dangerous doing it this way. You can easily end up just knocking the entire pad off. Especially when you're using a fat tip like that one. Let's see, what resistor was that? Left of the second pair, straight up from the DV DACA. Okay, it's that one there. Now we can likely use our micro pencil. Trying to hold with my fingertips, it's not a good idea. Hey JTech, welcome aboard. Far out. Alright, looks sufficiently chunky, suitable for the dodgy brothers. Trying to abstain from the Afrikaans. Thanks very much, Travis. Bad donkey. Gustavo, welcome. realistically, I didn't need to actually take the route that I did. I mostly did it just simply to keep up appearances. And that does not look like it's soldered at all. That does. Indeed, have we got a repair for you? Come on down in the next 10 minutes. I do miss that show. Okay, we don't have to worry about that. That pad's completely gone, but it wasn't part of anything, thank goodness. Okay, this section definitely has to take a hike. Unfortunately, their little attempt at protecting the circuit didn't do squat. My solder stick. What are you talking about, Pedro? Is that an innuendo? That's bad news. Hopefully that is simply... yeah, hopefully that's just a case of this connection between that pad and where that pad was is simply just that, and there's no other net going to it. Oh, one way to find out. Check the board view. It's not. Okay, that is 3v3S5, so that definitely comes off somewhere else. So we may have to find another 3v3S5. That's going to be fun. Fortunately, there's a few of them around. But whether we can do it with grace or not, that's the trick. Okay, so with this one, the 3v3S5 is coming up underneath the capacitor here, which is a pain in the backside. Now, see if I can get a hold of the top of that via, but more than likely it's corroded through, so we're going to have to run a wire from an alternate source. That one's taking a deep dive. Yeah, it's impressive that the board was booting, I agree. Now I'm hoping, really hoping, that what I'm exposing around about now is not illegal. Hopefully it's not ground. I'm fairly certain it will be 3v3. It's not guaranteed though. But I'm fairly certain it's 3v3. We'll be able to test that. So we'll get some solder onto it. If we can. No, that's... It's actually feeling rather disinclined to take solder. I could probably get some sort of connection there, but I think it will probably be too risky. It's a good chance it's going to fail. So we basically have to find our 3v3 from another source now. So we've got a couple around. Let's see, we've got it on RTC clock. There's a little one here on the resist. That's probably a bit small, that one. It's down here. I hate doing these sort of routings. There's this on the other side. Oh no, that is it. There's that on the other side of the board, but I hate going across the board, so we're not going to do that. I think what we'll do is we'll go down to U7080 and pick it up from there. So that's this over here. So we can just take it from either that pin there or that leg. Yeah. And then we just take it up to here. Like I said, it's a bit of a nuisance to say the very least. Don't really have a lot of choice, unfortunately. And I'm just trying to think how I want to do this. The first thing I'll do is I'll put that chip down. Pretty much everything got hit on this. Everything on that back edge. the hell? I'm just stabbing into the side of me there. I'm fairly sure that that portion of the track that I exposed, the big flood one, fairly sure that's aground. Let's hope so. That's aground. So we'll take this cap and we can put it down. So I'll make the connection, then I can run the wire on the junction down to the 3v3. Definitely impressive that this thing booted. If it hadn't have booted, I would have probably just written it off. In fact, I still probably should have written it off. But I'm a sucker for desperate cases. That's probably why I'm still helping Lewis now and then. Just kidding. Just kidding. I had to throw that in every now and then. I think they'll just reach. I think I might redo that. Maybe I can get away with that. I'm just worried that I might not be able to route it as cleanly as I wanted, but we'll see. Hello, Yoshi. Or Yoshi. This depends where you're from, how that's going to be pronounced. There's going to be some fine work involved in pinning that down when it's fixed. Alright, so now we're at the RTC / BIOS section. Yeah, they're looking pretty bad, that one especially. We'll see how we go. Give it a bit of 80-20 wash. So we're talking about battery capacities and discharge rates at the moment. I always miss out on the good stuff. I've been meaning to buy myself one of those ultrasonic toothbrushes, because I think they would do a decent job of this sort of work without me having to bring out, the tweezers or the X-Acto knife or the number 11, because it's a little bit aggressive using this, but the toothbrush isn't quite aggressive enough. I say, flux and solder. Definitely that one there's got to go, and probably the top right one. See if they survive. Intentionally using a large tip on this. It lets me very quickly heat up the whole resistor and the joint and see if it's going to let go of the other side. And they actually seem to be coming through okay. Oh, no, there you go. Hey, rat mold. I don't think I've seen you for a while. Probably because I haven't been streaming. Sonic screwdriver won't help me. What am I, the doctor? Oh, that one's gone too. Well, collateral damage. Hey, 10 minute. Alright, so we've got 3 resistors to migrate. Oh, fantastic. Those ones are gone. Clearly someone else thought they wanted those resistors. And these ones, they look like they've been replaced by me in the past. They could be factory. But I kind of got the feeling that I replaced them as part of the diagnosis. Then again, maybe not. Well, that looked like lead-free solder. one had to go to. What next? Those all feel fairly secure. The SMC area. Well, we're lucky the flood of trash sort of seems to have stopped around about here, so I didn't actually quite make it to the SMC, thank goodness. Obviously we're going to need to give it a clean up because by jingo, by gosh, it's a real mess out there today. We're using 80-20 alcohol water. So it's mostly alcohol, but it's got a little bit of not IPA, a little bit of deionized water in it just to help pick up or help bring a lot of water-soluble items into solution. Otherwise you'll be here all day with just pure alcohol. Yay, fiberglass pens. Not always a good solution. Unless you want to be really irritable. No. The knife does a better job. The knife does a much better job. Fiberglass pens are kind of like too aggressive for almost everything, and all the breaking away fibers, look at that. No, don't you just want to snort that into your lungs? No thanks. Ah, it's a bloody porcupine down there. It's like a porcupine sneezed or something. Yeah, if you got one under the fingernail, that would be hellish. That's a big fat no thanks. So if anyone ever asks if I use fiberglass pens, you can say, yeah, he's tried a few times. And he absolutely didn't like it. Like I said, they can have their place, but overall I prefer not. I think they make excellent torture instruments though. I can see a white chunk of something is trying to go under the LP8550, but we'll let the ultrasonic deal with that one. Hey Gamejoy, welcome. At least the ISL is perfect. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Looks like somebody melted the plastic. That was my bad. Not even sure what I was doing melting that. Seems like it was an accidental event. Not that it really saved this board in the first place anyhow. Hey microelectronics. Now this board is going to be looking forward to an ultrasonic bath like me at the end of a hard day's worth of work. Just seeing if I've missed anything else. I'm going to replace the RTC chip simply because I want to see what it's like underneath, and it is a pretty important chip. If that 3v3 RTC gets messed up, then it's a pretty good way of wrecking your PCH. It's probably okay, but I want to be sure. A bit like last night, where wanting to be sure is what saved that machine. To be fair, I think if I had powered it up with that chip inverted, it just wouldn't have done anything and it would have been okay. It would be almighty embarrassing, that's for sure. Hey Jim Hook. Hey Catherine. think you all must be getting exhausted watching this. I know I am. Let's see, I have a 2179 20 volts, 0.67 amps. Looks like it does not trigger 1V8 S5, 3V3 S5. I'm not sure of any hint. That's not in DFU mode, is it? Though I imagine those rails should be present nonetheless. If you connect it up to Apple Configurator 2, does it show up as DFU mode? And have you checked to see if there is any sort of matching parameters on the wiki? If you're not sure about what the wiki is, I'll just drop the link now. Hey Jessica Ryan. So if you go check your model, see if there are any indications as to things that they may think it could be. Often when you see them at around about that 50 to 80 milliamp, you know, some kind of DFU, but not always. To be fair, the whole Apple Configurator 2 and DFU stuff, it's hot luck so many times. Oh, that was a nice pull. Man, I don't get a nice pull like that very often. Usually with QFNs or TQF, yeah, mostly QFNs, they don't normally slide across so willingly, so that was an event for the night. Pedro, you filthy old man. I don't know why I actually even let you partake in these discussions. It is now just known as Apple Configurator, sorry. I'm not sure when they changed it, but it will show up as Apple Configurator 2 at some point, I think, when you install it. Or maybe they just call it Apple Configurator. But certainly, you know, if you check off all the things in the wiki and you're still not having any luck, yeah, it could actually. It's not anything on your chassis, is it? I presume you've tried the board out of the chassis. I've had numerous machines come here that they thought it was the logic board, but it ends up it's just the chassis playing silly buggers with them, which is frustrating for both them and myself. Is that corrosion? No, it's fluff. I was going to say it was a bit weird for the corrosion to be there. Alrighty, I think we're ready to see if we've gone backwards or not, because we were booting, so we basically can only go backwards at this point. Hey, it's my lady one. Oh boy. Oh man, tired. So tired. It's so many MacBooks needing love. Bum, 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 bum. Dun, 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 dun. 5%. Now that's true. I can always resend it to the Australia Post Courier Repair Network. Give it a few bumps on the way down. Oh, well, that's a good start. Let's see if we get our green at least. Current looks great. 500 odd. Dum, 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 dum. Give us a blink. Amongst the gum trees. Oh, come on, blink. Yes, thank goodness. Every single time. I think if you watch pretty much every video where I do a test on a 165, I start to panic just a second or two before it blinks good. Alright, so that's at least working in some way. It's not a guarantee. I'm going to have to take the DCM board out of this because I'm fairly sure that it is completely wrecked. First I need to put all the parts into the board. I don't know if you can see that. You can see a couple of large parts on the top, but there's actually a very large number of parts that now need to go into a little zippy bag. Right, first I need to actually see the itty bitty parts to put them into the zippy bag. And naturally I've put them on too hot onto the case, so they've melted onto the top of the case. Bravo, Paul. You're a fine specimen of what not to be as a technician. I do this with all of the board repairs. I basically, just keep the parts that I took off. Agreeably, sometimes you can't always get all the itty bitty discrete parts, like the little teeny weeny resistors and things like that, particularly when you get down to 0105 sizes. But I try. Ah, no, I think it's at you. Yep, found you. Crap, I lost that one. Oh well. There's a couple of reasons for doing this. The main one is for reference. Like if I ever get someone say, you didn't really take those parts off my machine, you just let Australia Post fix it, and then you sent it back to me and you charged me a fee, and I can go, well, actually, here's all the parts. Of course, they can always counter that and say, yeah, they could be for anything. There's no proof that they came from that machine. Which is why, even when I'm not live streaming, the camera is running and recording. There we go. So, and that baggie will get this big sticker on it. Or rather inside it. And then, then it's archived. And then so, if customer says, what parts did you take off that? And if I need to show them, whip out the baggie. Is Harold in here, is he? Or someone just asking about the chipmunk. Chipmunk's a very handy little device. On first glance, some people might go, gee, it's a bit expensive for what it is. But it's a very handy device, believe me. You very quickly forget about the cost of it. Well, To be fair, this actually doesn't look too bad. I'll have a look under the microscope, but I think it's okay. I think it was just corrosion on the outside. Piper, I run a couple of 4 gig drives in the machine, and then I just swap them out when they fill up. Oh no, this this definitely needs to go visit the ultrasonic. Look at that. I was very wrong. Top side looks acceptably beautiful. So this is kind of like nightclub style of life. You're like, oh yeah, that's pretty decent looking. And then the morning comes, and you go, oh dear God, what have I done? There probably was a part on there, and I knocked it off. I'm happy to say I never suffered a nightclub episode, but I know many people from all walks and all genders have suffered it. Well, I think we'll put this into the ultrasonic. We're also going to take this boot off. There we go. Boot's removed. We'll put that back on afterwards. That there's going to need some resoldering. Pretty much everything else can be taken out by the ultrasonic. Even over here, I think it's not too bad. Actually, I'll wash it just to be sure. Certainly I have met plenty of people over the years at some, in a nightclub or whatever, but I've never done the whole go home type thing with them. I will admit to some degree, not through lack of effort, but just simply the universe was, I guess, protecting me from myself in those completely young, dumb and stupid days. Thank goodness for that. And yep, we're repairing a DC board because DC boards are not cheap anymore. At one point I was mocked for repairing DC boards. I think when it comes to clubbing, go out on your Thursday, Friday, Saturday night, but go home to your own home and all that sort of stuff alone. And then on Sunday, go to the beer garden in the daylight and see if you feel the same way. And if you do, then congratulations. If you don't, well, there you go. Wow, the corrosion is terrible on these. Do not take dating advice from me. I mean, I was successful in the end, but not through what I was trying. It was just pure excellent luck that I was successful in the end. The universe had to actually kick me out of the country to get things sorted out. How long do you keep the old parts? Oh, I don't know. Since they all fit into little zippy bags, I can probably keep them indefinitely. And when I pass away from this life, someone can just toss them out. Travis, why can you not hear without the headphones? Okay, we have a broken trace here, which means the audio on this machine probably wasn't working. That was a good play on words there, Travis. Till death do you part. Yeah, we got a broken trace going into resistor here. It might not be something super critical. It could be just, say, maybe like, I don't know, gain control or something. But we'll get it fixed up. The trouble is I need to get a holder. Oh. Where be my holder? Ah, there it is. Yeah, that's a right mess. And that's the sort of thing that would end up costing me, how do you say, reputation or money. Even though it's not strictly something that is my fault as such. Just a case of, you know, okay, you need another another DC inboard. And I'll tell you what, if I can't convincingly fix this, then I will just have to get them to use another DC inboard. The other fun thing is I can't afford to lose those resistors. I don't know what the values are. Ach, niemand. Jesus. The DC board is actually quite tricky to hold. You really need a fractal vise to hold it properly. This one where I do add extra flux simply because the flux in the solder tends to burn away faster than what you finish working the job with. And yeah, that's really the main reason. Ah. I mean, I don't have shares in a flux company like some people, but actually I don't know if he does, but anyway, we like to make jokes that he does. I still do like to apply a moderately liberal amount of flux to just sort of stop the dry joins and things like that happening. Yep, there goes the holder. I'm a little worried about the right hand pad on that lower resistor. There's a bit of bleeding coming out on it, and bleeding is not a good sign. So we're going to have to pick that up, rotate it off, and see what's going on. Alright, it seems okay. Not a problem. So we'll throw that in the ultrasonic, and certainly testing audio is going to be a thing. Oh, that filter there looks gnarly. Do you watch Jason Vilmer of SDS? Oh, wait, yeah. Yeah, Jason Vilmer, to be fair, is working obviously with iPhones, and one of the big driving factors with him using so little flux is that you generally don't ultrasonic iPhone boards. And so whatever you put on there, you're either going to have to clean up manually or take the risk, ow, damn, that's hot. Yeah, or ultrasonic it off. So it's not really a good option. So you want to make sure you keep your iPhone flux down as little as possible. I mean, yes, he does ultrasonic boards, but you'll notice often when he does, he's holding the board into the ultrasonic cleaner at one end, and that's so that he can just ultrasonic specific areas. Whereas when we ultrasonic MacBook boards, we just throw the whole damn thing in. I really should just get my pan of ice, but I'm too lazy to get my ice. Mother flip. That's a slight problem. Now the problem is I do not know what let go. I don't know whether it was the end encapsulation on that filter or whether it was just bad luck. The fun thing is I actually need to pretty much hot air that back down. That's going to be fun. We're going to go in at 250. Yep, I know it sounds silly, but 250, and it should just reflow at some point without melting too much stuff. Okay, one end's gone, there's the other end. There we go. Okay, now we've got to fix up this section here. If this is wrong, basically it will incorrectly report when the lid is open or closed. So hopefully we can just touch it up and it'll be good. It's looking good. Marvelous. We're going to throw that into the ultrasonic. So it probably is working now. We'll test to see if we get a boot. I mean, it was working before, but I'd say that if I had tested it before, it would have come up with no audio or something wrong with the audio. But now that should be fixed. Okay, I just need to get some paper towel so I don't sully up their chassis. Okay. That's, yeah. I've got to admit, I'm actually kind of surprised I made it this late. I was genuinely feeling like passing out at around about 7 o'clock this evening. It's now midnight almost. But of course, naturally I'm getting my second wind now, which means I'll stay up to some stupid hour yet again, thus perpetuating the cycle. There's no help for people like me. We're not going to worry about fan. I just need to get my boot stick. Ah, there it is. Not my boomstick. This is not Ash of Evil Dead. My boot stick. Yep, looks like we're going backwards. Oh nope, there we go. Give me option, option. Well, we heard the bonging, so we know that works. Yeah, that's right, Miles. It's a terrible trap to get into, and requires being an adult to get out of it. So therefore, I'm doomed. Okay, so we have no battery. That is actually something I better test. I better test that the battery works, or charging more specifically. Okay, so boot works, so that's a good start. Let's see if the battery comes up. Okay, 93% showing up, so that's a good sign. Performance-wise, it's looking right. Okay, Wi-Fi is not showing up because I didn't plug Wi-Fi in. Let's disconnect the charger. Okay, yep, everything's looking good. Alright, so we're going to throw that into the ultrasonic and see how that behaves tomorrow. But we'll do that. Yeah, we're not doing it tonight. Because the whole ultrasonic process and then the drying, that's usually around about 40 minutes all up. And I've got better things to do for the next 40 minutes than that. So, that was what was that? 2 hours of excessive repair that really, if you want to run a successful business, you should never do. If you get a board like that coming into your business, you're probably much better off saying, no, you need to get another board. Or how about another machine? I mean, look, I'm all for repairing machines, but wasting 2 hours on this when you can buy a replacement probably for $100 these days, it's hard to justify that amount of time being spent on it. But for the purpose of being entertaining on YouTube, then it is worth it. So, alright, I'm out of here. Thank you all for being here as always. And I'm not sure when I'll be back, but, well, if you're subscribed, you'll obviously be notified. Otherwise, just wait till YouTube, you're surfing it and you see me again. Anyway, out of here. Take care. See you next time.